Most people come to Paphos for one reason: a short walk by the sea, a photo at the castle, a quick lunch at the harbor, and then they leave. But what if I told you that beneath this calm seaside town is one of the deepest, most layered stories in the entire Mediterranean? A place where Romans, Byzantines, Crusaders, Ottomans, and modern Cyprus all exist in the same frame? Today, we're moving beyond the souvenir shops to show you the real Paphos. We're taking you inside the House of Dionysus, standing where an apostle was allegedly whipped, and heading to a hidden observation deck for a sunset that feels like the end of the world. Our story begins here on the Paphos seafront promenade. It's a late November afternoon. The air is a perfect 23 degrees Celsius. It's quiet, peaceful, the kind of atmosphere that makes you want to slow down. But as we walk toward the right, toward the Paphos port, the energy shifts. Our hotel is near the sea, and that matters here, because Paphos is a city best enjoyed on foot. This is the heartbeat of the city. You got high-end yachts docked next to traditional fishing boats. If you're hungry, you'll see spots like King's Restaurant or the upscale Thanos. It's pricey, but the view of the harbor is worth the premium. Quick question for you guys. Do you prefer a quiet, secluded beach or a lively harbor full of restaurants? Let me know in the comments. As we reach the far edge of the harbor, you'll encounter one of the most romantic spots in the city. It is called the Ponton de Bizou. This Pier of Kisses is a tribute to the legendary lovers of Paphos, and you'll often see modern-day couples leaving locks here, or taking a moment to look out at the horizon. It's a beautiful contrast. Modern art standing guard over an ancient port. Behind the port, barely noticed by most visitors, are the remains of ancient harbor fortifications. Stone fragments that once guarded this exact shoreline. Long before the castle you see today was built, this harbor was protected by a massive Byzantine fortress. It was leveled by a catastrophic earthquake in 1222, and today, only these jagged bones of the old wall remain, partially submerged and weathered by the salt air. But if it is a castle you want to visit, then let's talk about the icon of the city, the Paphos Castle. Originally built as a Byzantine fort, it has been destroyed, rebuilt by the Lusignans, dismantled by the Venetians, and finally reconstructed by the Ottomans. There's a small entry fee of around €2.50, and it is the best money you'll spend today. Inside, the ground floor feels cold and heavy. It was once used as prison cells, and even a salt warehouse. But don't linger in the dark. Let us head straight up the stone staircase to the second level. From this rooftop battlements, the secrets of Paphos truly reveal themselves. To your right, you have a bird's-eye view of the entire Paphos port and the modern city. Paphos Port is one of the oldest ports in the Mediterranean, serving as a vital naval base since the 4th century BC. But here is the secret most people miss. The port you see today is actually built on top of the ancient Hellenistic harbor. And to your left, looking north along the rugged coastline, you can see the perimeter of the archaeological site of Nea Paphos. And if the air is clear, look toward the horizon for a haunting sight: the MV Dimitrios II, Shipwreck. We were hungry, so we decided to leave the castle and walk over to the restaurants by the port. Hopefully we will find something delicious, yet friendly for the wallet. And we found just that. But first, this is the Inn Plo Gallery. This building used to be the Paphos Nautical Club, but today it's a sanctuary for local culture. Inside, it's not just tourist trinkets. We found a stunning collection of handmade jewelry and artisanal items. This is the Ocean Basket Restaurant. Now, this is a local favorite for a reason. Pro tip: don't just take the first table you see. Head upstairs. The restaurant is actually built within historic stone depositories, and the top floor gives you a panoramic view of the Mediterranean. That turns a simple lunch into a meal of royalty. They start you off with complimentary warm bread, served with their signature trio of dips: garlic, chili, and lemon. We ordered their legendary seafood platter, and honestly, look at the size of this. It's a mountain of perfectly seasoned rice, succulent prince prawns, mussels swimming in a creamy lemon garlic sauce, and crispy calamari. And as if on cue, while we were mid-bite, a rainbow appeared right over the harbor. Re-energized by that feast, it was time to step back in time. We walked over to the archaeological site of Nea Paphos. You'll pay a small entry fee at the gate, and then you're free to roam what was once the capital of Cyprus. This site is massive. You're basically walking through an entire ancient city, and you'll need at least 3 hours to see it all without rushing. We started at the visitor center to get our bearings, and then followed the path toward the rock-cut temple podium. This is an imposing structure carved directly into the bedrock. Standing on it, you can almost feel the weight of the ceremonies that took place here thousands of years ago. Nea Paphos covers an area of over 95 hectares. That's roughly 135 football fields laid out along the coastline. To put it into perspective, you're not visiting a site, but you're actually walking through an entire ancient city. We arrived at the House of Dionysus, the most famous structure in Nea Paphos. And this Roman villa alone covers over 2,000 square meters. Named after Dionysus, the god of wine, theater, and pleasure, the house features some of the finest mosaics in the Mediterranean world. And here's the important thing most visitors don't realize. These mosaics were not decoration. They were storytelling. The floors depict scenes from Greek mythology, like the Dionysus, riding a chariot, and feasts, celebrations, gods and mortals intertwined. Each mosaic is made from thousands of tiny stone tesserae, carefully placed by hand, nearly 2,000 years ago. Some rooms still show clear borders, geometric frames, and color gradients. These techniques were far ahead of their time. If you visit, take your time and walk slowly here. Look closely, because the floors you're standing above survived earthquakes, invasions, and centuries of burial beneath soil. This house alone could justify your entire visit. But Nea Paphos isn't finished with you yet. If your home had one mythological mosaic, who would it depict? Let us know in the comments. A short walk away lies the Villa of Theseus. Let's head there, and I'll tell you more. And guys, if archaeology and history is not your thing, then feel free to skip this video until 26 minutes. Honestly, we will be spending quite some time here, and there is really a lot to see. The Villa of Theseus is another one of the largest structures in the entire archaeological site, covering more than 9,000 square meters. Most historians believe this was the official residence of the Roman governor. And it feels like it somehow. Actually, the layout was grand, with rooms surrounding open courtyards. Columns once framed ceremonial spaces, but today you have to imagine how they looked like, as most of it are in ruins. At the heart of the villa lies the mosaic of Theseus battling the Minotaur. Theseus represents order, intelligence, civilization. The Minotaur represents chaos. For a Roman governor, this message was clear: I bring order. Next, we enter the House of Ion, smaller than the Villa of Theseus, but intellectually deeper. This house features mosaics depicting Ion, the god of eternal time. But unlike the celebratory scenes of Dionysus, these mosaics explore fate, mortality, and the cycles of life. The imagery is complex, layered, and philosophical. It wasn't meant for casual guests, that's my thought. This was art, probably for thinkers. Moving onward, we encounter several open mosaic areas. I'm not going to go through all of them, as I myself would need to read an entire volume of the encyclopedia just to talk about all of them. And by the time I'm done, all of you will be deep asleep, my wife included, and I'll probably put myself to sleep as well. If you walk around, you come across landmarks, like the Neptune and Amphitrite. They were gods of the sea, which is fitting, given how close we are to the coast. You will surely come across the three Ori, goddesses of the seasons and natural order, and Aphrodite, goddess of love, really inseparable from Cyprus identity. These mosaics weren't random. They reflected who lived here, what they valued, and how they saw the world. Founded in the 4th century BC, Nea Paphos became the political and administrative center of Cyprus during the Hellenistic and Roman periods. Roman governors lived here. Elite families built their villas here. Trade routes connected this city to Rome, Alexandria, Antioch, and Athens. Our final major stop is the House of the Four Seasons. Here, mosaics represent spring, summer, autumn, and winter. It was reminding us that even empires move in cycles. From this point, the archaeological city begins to thin. The structures become fewer, and suddenly, the coastline opens fully beside us. You can hear the waves now. You are standing where ancient Paphos once ended, and the Mediterranean began. This is the Fonery Hill panoramic viewing platform, and at this point, it becomes clear you cannot truly understand Paphos without Nea Paphos. This site alone deserves 3 to 4 hours minimum for a light visit, and a full day. if you want to absorb it properly. Here, Nea Paphos doesn't end suddenly, but it fades. Ahead of us stand the Paphos Lighthouse. Modest in height, approximately 20 meters tall, but commanding in presence, especially in this part of the site. But unlike dramatic Atlantic lighthouses perched on cliffs, this tiny lighthouse stands calmly, almost humbly, on low ground near the ruins. I thought, who was mad enough to build a lighthouse here? But then I read about it, and I learned that its position is everything. This lighthouse actually marks the northwestern boundary of ancient Nea Paphos, and this is a critical point for maritime navigation. It is also a location used for signaling and observation for centuries. The modern structure dates to the British colonial period, but the function is ancient. Long before this tower existed, fires and beacons guided ships along this exact coastline. Near the lighthouse, you'll find a small museum, if you can call it that, and information panels. Here you can learn about ancient shipbuilding techniques, anchor stones recovered from nearby waters, and trade routes connecting Cyprus to Rome, Asia Minor, and North Africa. Look outside through this window, and you will notice that beyond this point, visitors can't go much further. And that's intentional, because this is where the ancient city once stopped. We turn away from the lighthouse and headed towards something totally different. Remember, if you're bored, skip this video to minute 26, but if you're interested about this site, follow us, because we have 2 more landmarks to visit. Just ahead, the path opens into one of the most emotionally powerful spaces in Paphos. And this is the Roman Odeon. Along the path, you'll notice small caves carved directly into the limestone. They were used as storage rooms, temporary shelters, and places of refuge during unrest. The Roman Odeon was built in the 2nd century AD, and this semicircular theater once seated around 1,200 spectators. The Odeon was used for musical performances, poetry readings, political speeches, and public gatherings. But unlike massive amphitheaters, Odeons were designed for acoustics. But it is in ruins today due to earthquakes. Cyprus sits on active seismic lines, and over centuries, repeated earthquakes collapsed parts of the structure. We continue walking, and the mood shifts again. Ahead lie the remains of the 40 columns fortress. Its name comes from the granite columns that once supported its structure. Many of them are now lying broken on the ground. This fortress dates back to the Byzantine period, around the 7th century AD. It was built in response to Arab raids, increased instability, and the need for stronger inland defenses. Unlike the castle at the harbor, this fortress was functional, not symbolic. It had thick walls, limited entry points, and a very good strategic positioning. Earthquakes once again reshaped the city. By the time the Lusignans arrived, the fortress had already suffered major damage. It was eventually abandoned, and time did the rest. Behind us now lies Nea Paphos, nearly 2,000 years of history contained within stone, mosaic, and dust. After hours among ruins, the body asks for something ordinary. We return to the promenade and grab an ice cream. A short walk inland brought us to St. Kyriaki Chrysopolitisa. We were now standing on a 5th century Christian basilica. It was built over Roman remains, and next to a still functioning church. Look around, and stone columns rise without roofs. Look closer, and you'll also spot mosaics that peek through the ground. Here, walls hint at spaces that once echoed with prayer. This basilica was once one of the most important Christian centers in Cyprus. Nearby stands St. Paul's Pillar. According to tradition, the Apostle Paul was tied to this pillar and flogged for preaching Christianity. Whether taken literally or symbolically, the meaning remains. This is where belief met resistance. Continuing onward, we reach the remains of the Episcopal Palace. Once a residence for bishops, today, it's in ruins. It's a reminder that even sacred authority changes with time. The light shifts now. Shadows stretch longer. The warmth softens. This is your signal in Paphos. Sunset waits by the sea. We had time for one last landmark, the Church of Panagia Theoskepasti. This church is built on a high rock overlooking the sea. Its name means veiled by God, and legend says that during an Arab raid, God sent a thick fog to hide the church from the invaders, saving it from destruction. The interior is peaceful and filled with ornate icons. It is a perfect place to catch your breath before the grand finale. On our way back to the water, we passed the Flintstones bar. It's a bit of a local legend here, a quirky, prehistoric-themed spot that's been around for years. It's a fun contrast to the 2,000-year-old ruins we just left. Finally, we reached the observation deck on the promenade. We found a bench, sat down, and just watched. The Paphos sunset is a spectacle. The sky transitions from fiery orange to a bruised purple, silhouetting the Paphos Castle against the Mediterranean. As the light faded, the November air finally started to get crisp. We finished our journey at Da Vinci's, with a thick, steaming hot chocolate to warm our hands. Paphos started as a mystery to us this morning, but by the time night fell, it felt like we'd uncovered the soul of the island. We were starting to feel cold now, so we decided to head back to the hotel. But do not go anywhere because we're not done yet. We have one more surprise for you, and for that, we need to skip to the next morning. We woke up the next morning to another perfect day and drove just a few minutes inland, to an area most tourists only see from a bus window. As you approach the walkway near the catacombs, your eyes are immediately drawn to a massive, imposing building that looks like a Roman temple or an Egyptian palace from a distance. That's the Raphtes group building. While it looks like it belongs to the ancient world, it's actually the headquarters of a local developer. It's a striking bit of modern architecture that sets the tone for where we're going next. The Catacombs of Paphos. We headed into the catacomb of Agia Solomoni. It's an underground chapel and burial chamber dating back to the Hellenistic period. Outside, you'll see a large terebinth tree covered in pieces of cloth. These are left by people hoping for a miracle. As we climbed up from the cool darkness to the garden-style plateau on top, we picked up a travel companion, a local cat who decided to follow my wife everywhere we went. This upper level is home to a true hidden gem. It is an early Hellenistic pebble mosaic floor. Unlike the smooth Roma mosaics we saw yesterday, these are made from small, natural river pebbles. It's one of the oldest examples of the craft in Paphos, tucked away under a small protective roof. From here, we explored Fabrika Hill. This entire area is a megalithic site, essentially an ancient quarry and residential complex carved directly into the bedrock. It's in ruins now, but you can still see the chambers and the Fabrika Hill cave complex. Walking through these hollowed-out hills feels like walking through a giant honeycomb of history. So what is the secret of Paphos? It's the fact that no matter where you step, whether it's a modern promenade or a dusty hilltop, there is a story waiting beneath your feet. Our divs don't just stay by the water. Paphos is a city of layers. Spend your mornings in the ancient underworld of the Catacombs, your afternoons in the Roman villas, and your evenings at the harbor. Paphos proved to us that even in late November, the Mediterranean still holds a fire that can warm your soul. This has been WorldWithWife, and the world is waiting for you to explore. But our Cyprus adventure is just getting started. Next week, we're heading east to the cosmopolitan heart of the island, to Limassol. We'll be trading these ancient ruins for sleek marinas, vibrant street art, and a totally different side of Cypriot life. You won't want to miss that contrast. Hit that notification bell so you're the first to join us in Limassol. We'll see you in the next one.